Hey, what's up everybody? Retro Gaming Guy here. Today in this video, we're going to jump into the BOSGAME Mini PC. This has a AMD Ryzen 3 3200U in it, as well as 8GB RAM and speeds of up to 3.5 gigahertz. It's also priced at the time of this video at just $159. So it's affordable. It seems to offer definitely some power as well as speed on here. So I'm dying to check it out and see what its performance is like diving into some retro video game emulation. So we're going to unbox this, demo it, review it, see what the experience is like. But before we do, I want to talk to you guys very briefly and tell you guys about Mint Mobile, who I've actually partnered with for this video right here. Mint Mobile offers an amazing premium wireless service, and you may have already heard of them because they have a bunch of different funny commercials out right now with Ryan Reynolds, who's not only a Mint Mobile user, he's also one of the owners of the company. So with rates as low as just $15 a month, with Mint Mobile, you don't have to sacrifice speed, coverage, or data because Mint Mobile was built on the nation's largest 5G network. All the available Mint Mobile plans include unlimited nationwide talk and text, in addition to lightning-fast 5G and free mobile hotspot. Mint is also offering a modern family plan that allows you to save yourself a boatload of money on your plan with as little as just 2 phone lines. Now, Mint Mobile sells directly to customers online rather than operating retail stores or using salespeople. And the reason behind that is they're able to save themselves money and they forward that savings onto you, the customer. Switching over is quick and easy thanks to their digital eSIM cards, which can be activated instantly from the comfort of your own home. Now, rest assured, if you do need help, you can call their customer service line anytime, anywhere. So why pay more for the exact same service? You're still getting the same data, coverage, and speeds. So go ahead and get some additional information on what Mint Mobile has to offer you, and maybe even switch over today. You can scan the QR code right here on your screen, or click the link in the description of this video. If you've already switched over to Mint Mobile, let me know in the comments section what your experience has been like. I personally switched over to Mint Mobile over a month ago, and I've been saving money ever since. In fact, I wish I switched over sooner. So go ahead and click those links, scan the QR code, but let's dive into this Mini PC and see what it has to offer us. All right, guys, here we've got the BOSGAME Mini PC with an AMD Ryzen 3 3200U. This has 3GB RAM and has speeds of up to 3.5 gigahertz. We're going to go ahead and unbox this, see what we have underneath. Very nicely packaged together. So obviously we have the Mini PC right here. Set that aside. Product and safety info down here at the bottom. So we'll thumb through this really quickly, just see what it highlights in here. So we have warranty information, goes over each of the available ports on here, what their function would be. We have instructions for setup as well as product specifications. So we have that AMD Ryzen 3 3200U that I mentioned. We also have AMD Radeon Vega 3 graphics for the GPU, which is awesome. I didn't even realize that, in all honesty, before picking this up. Shows us how we would go about making our connections, setting everything up, and what is included in here. So we should have our Mini PC, AC power adapter, frame and screw, which would be our mounting bracket. Love when those are included because, especially with Mini PCs, it's always awesome to be able to go in and mount these to your desk, or if you wanted, what I might be doing with this is installing it within my arcade cabinet. So mounting it to the inside of the cabinet would be great as well. So over here should have our power adapter, and we do, so awesome there. That is everything in the box, so we'll push that aside. Let's take a look at the actual Mini PC now. All right, so here is the top of it, and the front would be right here. So first thing that I noticed is we have our power button here. Good action on there. I hate when we have these flat buttons that you can't tell if you've pushed it or not. It doesn't click or it doesn't have any sort of feeling to it. Not the case here. You can hear it. Great action there. We also have our audio jack port right here. Right here we have a Type-C, 2 USB 3s right in front, so that makes it perfect for connecting in keyboards, a mouse, or of course controllers if we're going to be using this for gaming, and that's exactly what I plan to use it for. We have a micro SD card slot on the side, so if you're a Batocera or RetroPie guy, you can go ahead and set yourself up a micro SD card with Batocera or RetroPie or anything else really for that matter, preloaded, ready to go on the SD card. Go ahead and slide that micro SD card right into the micro SD card slot on the side. This would be we would actually use this to open up the entire Mini PC if you wanted to access everything within. Over here we have our DC in, so that is where our power adapters can plug in, just like that. Over here we have 2 HDMI ports on here, which is great if you want to use dual monitors or connect this to multiple displays. That always comes in handy. We also have a regular USB up top and a USB 3 again in the back. Ethernet over here. Excellent ventilation on this. You can see very nicely put together. And I actually, now that I mentioned all this, we didn't see the mounting screws. Maybe they're hidden in the bottom of this box. Let me jump in there because I'm noticing on the bottom side here, we do have a spot up here and down here where we can mount a external bracket. So is it in the bottom of the box here? Oh, there we go. Look, false bottom on the box. So we should have our mounting plate in here. I'm just going to confirm that. Looked like the bottom of the box, but there it is. Perfect. Oh, and an HDMI cable. That will certainly come in handy. I wasn't hung up on that because, was it listed in our contents here? I'm not sure that it was. Yeah, it doesn't mention that there's an HDMI cable, and sometimes we don't get one. This is a super short one, but still certainly will come in handy. So let's take a look in here. So we have our screws, we have our mounting plate right here. So you could pretty easily go ahead and mount it again using these 2 screws. Do we have instructions as to how that would go about happening in here? We do not. So this plate isn't really self-explanatory here because, let's see, does it line up there with the holes? It does. It lines up there. And it also could line up here as well. So I'm not really sure how this mounts on here. We could do it. Could we do it like that? Probably. Yeah, that's probably how I would do it. I'd mount it like this and then perfect. You would have access to all the ports right up here. This would obviously screw into whatever surface you're going to be mounting it onto. So in my case, it would be, if I decide to use this, it would be the inside of the arcade 1-up cabinet. I can mount it to the side inside panel and still have full access either there or, you know, doing it that way if the access was from the back. So definitely easy to figure out how that would go. We have all the screws to mount directly to this. I would probably use some different screws to mount it depending on what I mount it to, but on a cabinet, some wood screws would be better than what is provided there. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm not going to use this because it's just too short for my setup down here right now, but I'm going to go ahead and connect this. I'll bring in my own HDMI cable, which will be a little bit longer, and we're going to jump into Bodicera on here. We'll jump into a wide range of games and game collections so we can further test out what the performance is like on here and what the capabilities are.
You win. Round 2. Fight.
Down for the offense. Big dog. The way they're turning that ball over, you'd think think they didn't want the ball.
Welcome, fans, to Showdown, Legends of Wrestling. I'm Tony Schiavone, here with the living legend Larry Zbyszko and Bobby the Brain Heenan.
You got that right.
We've got a capacity crowd
At the Omni Center.
They're ready to erupt, Tony. One big move and this place will absolutely go off. Third down. First and goal.
Second
The
down.
D is playing it safe here.
48! Fight!
Backpedaling, rolling left. Driven down.
I'm the man with the plan.
Third down.
Now these guys can't waste a golden opportunity like this, but the good teams find a way to score when they get down. And the Dolphins get the first down.
First
They're
and
in the red
goal.
zone. To his left.
Rapidly increasing speed. Please, momentum. Continue his graceful march. He goes at one of his rivals.
30-15.
All right, guys, we just jumped into the BOSGAME Mini PC, which has the AMD Ryzen 3 3200U 8GB RAM, and speeds up to 3.5 gigahertz. So we've definitely got some power and speed in our hands here. So let's talk about the layout of this before we dive into performance. I love the fact that this offers all those external ports that we need as gamers. We've got dual USB 3s right in front so we can connect external controllers. Obviously, I think most of us want to use wireless, but a lot of times we can use wireless receiver controllers, which are great. They're usually very reliable. Or sometimes if I'm using, like, say I go into an N64 game, I have an N64 style controller that connects via USB. So I'll bring that into the mix when I'm playing N64 games when I want that authentic experience with that style controller. I do the same thing with Super Nintendo. I have a Super Nintendo USB controller, wired. I bring that in only when I'm playing Super Nintendo games, just again to have that authentic experience there. So cases like that, I want to have USB ports located in the front of the Mini PC for easy accessibility and convenience. And we have that here. We also have the Type-C right in front, and we also have the headphone jack located right in front as well. So maybe we don't want to have our TV blaring late at night. I have kids, I'm gaming usually, typically at night anyways, so I'll plug in my headphone jack right into the front of my PC, and I don't have to worry about waking anybody up, so very convenient there. If we flip this around to the back side, we have our DC in for our power supply cable. We also have dual HDMI ports located right in the back, so if you want to use this with multiple displays, very easy to do that. Not that I think necessarily you'd be doing that on the gaming side of things, but if you want to use this with Windows, you can certainly do so. You have both HDMI ports on there. Worst case, you're only going to use one. Very convenient, though, to be able to connect to if you wanted to. Now, we also have an additional regular USB port in the back and another USB 3. So the back ports, what I'll typically do is I'll connect in my keyboard that way, as well as my wireless mouse through a USB dongle in the back. And I connect them to the back side because I'm usually leaving them plugged in. I'm not going to be, moving them in and out a whole lot. So I don't need the convenience of accessibility there. Just leave them plugged in. I know they're plugged in. I can use them when I need to and not even have to think twice. So we, of course, also have the Ethernet connection in the back. I don't use that personally a whole hell of a lot, but convenient to have nonetheless. So we've got tons of different options here that we utilize as gamers. Not always all the time, but it's always important to have all of these present. So we also have the micro SD card slot on the side, which we typically don't see on Mini PCs, although I have been seeing that more present over the last couple of months. We see a lot more models coming out with that. And I think it's awesome for gamers. I personally don't prefer micro SD cards for gaming purposes over external SSDs or hard drives, just because micro SD cards are prone to corrupting much more than hard drives or SSDs, but it's still very convenient to set up something like Batocera, for example. On a micro SD card, simply plug it in, and then you eliminate having to get an expensive SSD or hard drive, and obviously the connections to make those hard drives actually run on the PC as well. So you can eliminate all those high costs by going the micro SD card route. You just have to sacrifice sometimes the reliability of it. And you do roll the dice a little bit. You also have smaller capacity micro SD cards versus hard drives and SSDs. Speeds can vary too. So there are pros and cons to using it, but it's certainly great to have the option to go that route. You can also use it for storage as well, and tons of other things if you're not talking about solely gaming on here. So lots of different things come into the mix here. We also have exceptional cooling, ventilation, and airflow on this. It is a little bit bigger, as I mentioned. That does allow for better cooling and airflow in your Mini PC. I used this today for over 4 hours. Usually I don't game on it for that long when I'm doing review videos. The reason I was doing that was I was actually setting up an external hard drive today. And I was just kind of testing out games and ROMs, making sure everything was working properly. And I'll be honest, I got lost in some of the games. Games from 20 years ago that I haven't played in decades. I got sucked into them. So I gamed on this longer than usual. And I know for a fact this doesn't heat up a whole hell of a lot. The cooling and airflow are so good that it keeps this nice and cool. We don't have to worry about this overheating at all. So let's talk about the performance now, diving into a wide range of games and game collections on here. So we jumped into Batocera 37. I tested out pretty much everything from early arcade, and I didn't show everything in this video just in an effort to keep things short and sweet. But we tried a lot of games, N64, Dreamcast, we jumped into PlayStation, PS2, Nintendo Switch, Wii U, and the performance on here was very good. So I jumped into some Wii games as well. I didn't show them in this video because I realized after I actually jumped into Guitar Hero and I've just blanked on the fact that I was going to get a trademark issue. If I actually showed those gameplay portions, I could do it, but I'd have to remove the audio from it in something like that. I actually jumped into Rock Band and Guitar Hero, so those games without audio doesn't really have much purpose. You wouldn't get much out of it, so you'll have to take my word for it on the experience there, but exceptional. We jumped into GameCube as well, awesome experience. I would say the only shortcomings here was original Xbox, which some titles work perfect, others don't work well at all. It's very hit or miss. Same could be said for Nintendo Switch. Nintendo Switch, we jumped into Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, one of my favorite, if not my favorite games for Nintendo Switch. Good experience there. Everything, there was an occasional glitch here and there, but it was still very much playable, awesome experience. However, there were some titles that I showed you, I believe it was Off-Road Racing, where it was just an absolute disaster. The gameplay, like speed of it, was just really delayed, out of whack, and the graphics were just absolutely horrendous. So some games, again, perfectly playable, some games not playable at all. It's a roll of the dice. So I wouldn't get this for Nintendo Switch or for original Xbox just because it's inconsistent. Everything else, though, in there from, you know, early Atari and early arcade all the way up until Nintendo Switch and then original Xbox, perfect. PS3, also not possible here. You usually need to have a really high-end gaming PC to get into PS3 emulation, so no surprises there. But still, in the end, a great experience, and $159 at the time of this video for this mini PC. At that price point, I think we have a whole lot going for us here. And yes, we have some shortcomings, but for the price point, I think that we're in a really great spot here. So if you need a mini PC for gaming purposes or retro video game purposes anyways, this definitely is a great option. Again, the BOSGAME Mini PC here, awesome experience. So click the link up here at the top of your screen, as well as in the description of this video if you want to get some additional information. You can also get more info on the exact specs for this too. I try not to go into great detail on the specs here because if you've ever read specs on any PC out there, it can be pretty extensive and a lot to digest, you know, in a video like this. So click over, get some additional information at the very least if you do need something like this. Oh, and the mounting bracket here. While I'm remembering that, because I'm going to be using that, I actually do plan to use this exact mini PC in my arcade 1-up cabinet when I go into mod it, because I'm not going to be playing much Xbox or Nintendo Switch on there, and everything else runs perfectly. So I'm going to incorporate this into that mod. And that mounting bracket is pretty awesome. I actually checked it out a little bit closer than in this video. It lines up perfectly with the inside of my arcade 1-up cabinet. So I'm going to be installing it over there, and I'll have a video on that very soon as well as I dive into that whole process. So definitely check this out. Again, if you enjoyed the content today, please give me a thumbs up on the video. It's a huge help to me here on YouTube. And of course, hit subscribe to stay in the loop for all future videos. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you on the next video.